guys, and welcome to the perfection section of our perfection series. Now, in this section, we'll be going over what perfection is, as well as the method of thinking to reach perfection. But before we get started, here's a little intro into the subject. In the mid-1980s, the video rental industry was dominated by Blockbuster. Their business model worked great. They focused on making it convenient to rent videotapes from approximately 6,500 retail stores worldwide. Their view of perfection was to continuously expand to far-reaching areas to keep video rentals convenient. They pursued this aggressive expansion strategy through the late 1980s with great success. Unbeknownst to Blockbuster, two men by the names of Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph were formulating their own view of perfection when it came to movie distribution. $40 in back charges for returning Apollo 13 late was a catalyst for Hastings to launch a company called Netflix. Hastings and Randolph launched their business in 1997, the same year DVDs were introduced. Although there were only about 1,000 titles available in this new format and the cost of DVD players was high, Hastings and Randolph saw DVDs as a viable option to replacing bulky VHS tapes. They initially recognized the primary shortcomings of the Blockbuster model. Blockbuster is a supermarket of videotapes. If a particular title is unavailable or out of stock, then customers leave disappointed. Carrying all those titles in so many locations is also very costly. In contrast, Netflix's initial model would virtually guarantee customers would get the exact movie they wanted. DVDs were small and light enough to be sent using a single first-class stamp. An enclosed envelope with a first-class stamp would also allow customers to conveniently ship movies back. In September of 1999, Netflix introduced a service that allowed users to keep up to 4 DVDs with no late charges for a flat fee of $15.95 per month. The model was working great, but Hastings wanted more. In May of 2000, he announced his latest view of perfection, offering movies via streaming video over the internet. Many were skeptical about this new model, but he was quoted as saying, "What Netflix is about is owning a transition stage as renting converts to video on demand." So the first step in pursuing perfection is having a clear vision. Your organization needs to know very clearly what it's striving for. The next step is to make sure that vision is adaptable. Customer demand and technology changes overnight. Make sure your vision can change with it. Think for a moment. Does your company have a clear view of perfection? If so, is that model stuck in the 1980s like that of Blockbuster? Are you willing to adapt your view of perfection to align with that of the customer, just like Netflix has? So what is perfection and where is its place in Lean? The House of Lean breaks down into standards and standard work as the base, just-in-time and Jidoka as the pillars, and perfection, or the pursuit of perfection, as the roof. So to better illustrate this, let's relate this to sports. Now, you've probably noticed that a lot of examples from this site come from sports. We've taken Ono's lead on this. He saw many similarities between sports and manufacturing. The Toyota production system thrives under an environment of teamwork. But keep in mind that team sports and teamwork were not always part of Japanese culture. According to Ono, Japanese traditional sports were one-on-one. These sports included kendo, or the Japanese version of fencing, and judo, which is comparable to Western wrestling. Notice that in both sports, two participants, or more specifically, two adversaries face each other one-on-one. Win, lose, or draw, the outcome depends solely on each individual. When Westerners introduced team sports like baseball, volleyball, and soccer, they not only permeated the realm of sports in Japan, but also made an impact on the culture as a whole. This manifests itself in their ability to compete internationally in both sports and business without necessarily having individuals that are smarter or more athletically gifted than those of other nations. So back to the House of Lean. It should be well understood that all of the components of the House of Lean are equally important. For example, many Lean practitioners love the just-in-time portion of the Toyota production system. But how can we create a just-in-time environment without building a strong base of stability? And what would be the purpose of creating a just-in-time environment without built-in quality from Jidoka? And how about the roof? What are we building toward if we don't have a clear vision of perfection? Again, all components of the House of Lean are equally important. An imbalanced approach to Lean will cause your house to fall apart. If I had to relate the House of Lean to a football team, it would look something like this. Stability is the ground level of attributes that all football players require. This includes good work ethic, mental toughness, speed, power, agility, flexibility, and stamina. All good players possess these characteristics. In fact, these are universal traits in any sport you play. I'd relate the just-in-time pillar to the individual skills that players have. In football, they'd be running, catching, blocking, and tackling. Every member of the team must be able to perform these individual tasks. The judoka pillar would be the team attributes associated with football. They are understanding and memorizing plays, understanding your blocking and tackling assignments on plays, and putting the team's objectives before your own. Notice that the team skills are independent of individual skills, but they are equally important to the overall performance of the team. This leaves the roof of the House of Lean. At Toyota, they label the roof Kaizen. Kai is a Chinese character for to change, and Zen is a Chinese character meaning good. Together, they mean to improve or to change for the better. We've taken the liberty to describe the roof as perfection or the pursuit of perfection, which implies Kaizen. To relate this to our football example, this is to continuously improve in each of the supporting structures below. How can you incrementally improve your speed and stamina a little every day? How can you improve your running, catching, and blocking every day? How can you get better at memorizing your routes and blocking and tackling assignments? So what I've just described here is process level changes. This is known as process Kaizen. But there are also system-wide changes that a coach may implement. For example, how can we take a team with limited success using a pro-style offense and implement an excellent option-based attack? So I just introduced two types of Kaizen. They are process Kaizen and system Kaizen. Process Kaizen deals with daily incremental improvements made by your operators, or in our case, football players. These small changes add up over time to some big changes, so process Kaizen is very important. The system level of Kaizen involves large changes to an overall manufacturing or processing method. This generally involves more upper management than process level Kaizen and produces more step function improvement. Again, a coach deciding to change an offense from a pro-style attack to an option-based attack is a system level Kaizen.